Welcome to The Explainer. If you've been looking to master the absolute foundational elements of one of the most powerful operating systems in the cybersecurity world, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we are breaking down the essentials of Kali Linux, from basic installation all the way to commanding the terminal like a seasoned pro. Let's just dive right in.
So, are you ready to step into the world of ethical hacking? Because honestly, that is exactly what Kali Linux is built for. It's a specialized Linux distribution created primarily for security testing, vulnerability analysis, and computer forensics. It basically gives you all the tools you need right out of the box.
Here's our roadmap for today. 1. Meet Kali Linux. 2. Setting up your system. 3. Taming the terminal. 4. Navigating files and permissions. And 5. Managing packages and services.
All right, Section 1. Meet Kali Linux and its hardware requirements. What's actually really interesting here is how accessible Kali is. It's surprisingly lightweight. You literally only need a minimum of 20 gigabytes of disk space and just 1 single gigabyte of memory. I mean, you can even run it on a $35 Raspberry Pi. But typically, we first acquire Kali digitally as an ISO image. That's just a 2.8 gigabyte file that perfectly replicates what you'd find on a physical installation CD. Now, once you have that ISO file, you need a place to put it, right? Most beginners use what's called a virtual machine. This relies on a hypervisor. Think of software like VirtualBox or VMware. They act as a vital translator. The hypervisor essentially mediates between your main computer, which is your host operating system, and Kali Linux, your guest operating system. It's like a secure little bubble that lets you run Kali safely. Moving on to Section 2, setting up your system, focusing on boot and installation.
When you first fire up that Kali boot screen, you're presented with two main options: live boot versus install boot. A live boot is kind of cool. It runs entirely in your computer's memory. If you make a change or save a file, it completely vanishes the moment you power off. This is absolutely perfect for investigating a compromised system without leaving a single trace behind. An install boot, on the other hand, is permanent. That writes directly to your hard drive for long-term use.
Now, if you proceed with the full install, Kali does something pretty unique. It defaults to making you the root user. What does that mean? It means you are the main administrator with completely unrestricted super user privileges right from the jump. Kali actually bypasses the usual friction of constantly typing sudo because, well, almost all the high-level security tools you'll be running absolutely require root privileges to even function.
Okay, Section 3. Taming the terminal and command line basics.
Let's decode the matrix a bit here. You really don't need a mouse, you just need to map some basic terminal commands to everyday actions you already know. ls simply lists the files in your current folder so you can see what you're working with. cd changes the directory so you can navigate deeper. mkdir makes a brand new directory to store your project files, and if you ever need to wipe a directory and completely clear your tracks after an engagement, rm-rf removes files recursively.
Which brings us to Section 4, navigating files and permissions, specifically access control.
Linux actually handles security through these really strict permission buckets. Whenever you list files, you're going to see letters like R, W, and X. That stands for read, write, and execute. And these are divided into 3 buckets: the user who owns the file, the primary group, and the world. Now, you assign rights using numeric values, and it's basically just simple addition. Read is worth 4, write is 2, and execute is 1. So if you want to give a user full read, write, and execute power, you just add 4 plus 2 plus 1 and you get 7. So when you see a permission set to 755, it's really just basic math dictating exactly who can touch that file.
Now, when you want to read a text file, you'll use a tool called a pager. And there's this classic Unix developer joke hidden here. Originally, there was a tool called More that lets you view files one page at a time. Well, when developers built a better, improved alternative, they literally named the new program Less, because, less is more. You're going to encounter this kind of dry humor frequently in the Linux world. But the real magic happens when we start chaining these small utilities together using what's called the pipe. It's that vertical bar character on your keyboard. The pipe takes the output from the command on the left and literally feeds it directly into the command on the right. For example, run ps to get a massive list of every running process, and then pipe it straight into grep Apache to instantly filter out only the processes running your web server. It's practically a superpower for cutting through the noise and automating your recon. Eventually, though, you'll need to actually edit some files. The 2 main text editors you'll see are Nano and V. Nano is super straightforward. It behaves a lot like a standard word processor where you just open it and start typing. V, or Vim, on the other hand, is incredibly dense but vastly more powerful.
It's a dual-mode editor. You open it in command mode, where pressing certain letters deletes lines or jumps the cursor around. You literally have to press the letter I to enter insert mode just to be able to type normally. It definitely has a learning curve, but mastering V will make you incredibly fast.
So, what happens when you inevitably forget a command parameter? Don't panic. Simply add --help after any command to get a really quick summary. Need more detailed documentation? Just type man before a command to open its full manual pages. And this is my favorite. If you know what you want to do, but you just can't remember the exact command name, type apropos followed by your keyword, and Kali will actually find the right command for you.
All right, last but not least, Section 5, Managing Packages and Services and System Maintenance.
Services are essentially programs running quietly in the background, like a remote SSH connection, for example. In Kali, the absolute ultimate control center for these background services is a built-in manager called systemctl. It uses really simple verb-based commands. You just type systemctl, then tell it what you want to do, like start, stop, restart, or status, followed by the name of the service, like Apache 2. It is incredibly clean and efficient.
Now, to get new software or to keep your current tools secure, we use APT, which stands for the Advanced Package Tool. This relies on what we can call a holy trinity of package management commands. First, apt update reaches out to remote servers to download the absolute latest metadata. Second, apt update actually applies those new updates to your system. And finally, if you need a brand new tool, you simply type apt install followed by the name of the package.
But the real power of Kali is what it provides you without you having to install a single thing. 3088. That is the actual number of pre-installed security packages ready to go right out of the box. From wireless attack suites to password crackers and vulnerability scanners, your arsenal is fully stocked from minute one. No way around it. That's huge.
Occasionally, though, a highly specific tool isn't going to be in those standard repositories, so you have to compile it yourself from source code. I know it sounds complex, but it's usually just a quick 4-step fallback process. First, unpack the compressed tar.gz source code file. Then, run a quick /configure script to check your system's libraries. Next, run make to actually compile that raw code into a binary executable. And finally, run make install to place that executable into your system so you can use it from anywhere.
Well, we've reached the end of our journey today. You now officially understand how to acquire Kali, navigate the terminal, manage secure permissions, and maintain your toolset. So the question is, what will you explore first with your new root powers? Are you going to dive right into wireless testing or maybe master vulnerability analysis? Open up your terminal, apply the structural foundation we just built, and start your ethical hacking journey today. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and as